Hello, family. Welcome back to the African Diaspora News channel. I am Wongel Zelalem, and today we're talking about yet another UK politician. Perhaps let me rephrase that. UK politician that has a background or comes from immigrant parents. These folks, most of them, are born and raised for the most part, in the UK, but their ancestry, their mothers, their fathers, their grandparents, everybody before them, they were migrants. They were from a different ethnicity, right? So today we're talking about this UK politician. Wait for it. It's going to come. Her picture will come in a second. So, this is Suella Braverman. As you can see, she is um, Indian by ethnicity. Yes, she was born and raised in the UK, but her parents are from India. And she can I mean, you can look at her and see that she's not a Brit, like she's not a white woman, right? Although I do suspect these folks, from my experience and reporting on them, when they marry into a white, community, the white community, and their kids are maybe like half white, half whatever it might be. If we're talking about Kemi Badenoch, it is Nigerian and British, and this lady, Indian and British South African, by the way. He's also South African. So there's more to that as well. So I think, from my experience talking about these people, these folks, something keeps reappearing. Like something, there's like a trend. Whenever you see them really like feeling some type of way about their own communities that they come from, right? Their ethnicities. For some of them it's black, for some of them it's brown, for the most part it's black and brown. They tend to really, favor or want to stand up for, the people that they deem to be more worthy. I don't know. I'm not trying to put words in their mouth, but I'll definitely tell you all the controversial things that um, this person, this UK politician, by the way, she's a former minister. She was also home secretary, if I'm not wrong, right? Yes, she was a home secretary a few years back, 22, 23, in 2022, 2023, that is. And she was quite controversial. There was a lot of backlash to the things she was saying, but of course, she was getting applause from the community she wants to get applause from, which is you know and so yeah, it is mind-boggling. Now she just made it to the news yesterday. In fact, it's that recent. She said, and I quote, okay, listen to this. She said, Britain should be demanding reparation from ex-colonies, and she called it investment, for the effort, and for the contribution the empire has made in building them. These colonies we're talking about are the ones that faced atrocities, the ones that were put into slavery. The countries that we're talking about are those countries that their resources was extracted from. They were never given any compensation. In fact, they were sold into slavery, they were colonized, they were under Britain. Anything that they want to do, they lost their sovereignty. But bottom line is, they lost their sovereignty. So her argument is that Britain invested in these countries. By the way, we'll debunk all of it. Like, the investment she's calling is not really Britain investing, it's Britain looting. It's how you word it. It's so crazy how these politicians will twist a word, will use whatever means necessary to push an agenda, to make it sound palatable. And it's just insane to me, especially when it comes to these children of immigrants, right? Those that benefited directly from, let's say, their parents going there, giving birth to them there. And now they're like, okay, we're going to make sure that we close the door behind us. I mean, if the locals are marching against, let's say, immigrants, let's say these like other nationalities. I mean, at the end of the day, that's their country, you might argue, correct? But these folks, they're not even second generation, third generation. These are first generation that we're talking about. To make matters worse, UK politician Kemi, she didn't even grow up in Britain. Her mom went to the UK, gave birth to her, went back with Kemi, and Kemi grew up in Nigeria, I think, until she's like in high school or like early teens, and went back to the UK and grew up there, like lived the rest of her life there. So when they act like they're the special ones because they're married to white folks, and they are now, in politics, and they're given this power, it sounds ridiculous to me personally, because I mean, you don't hear yourself. It's so bizarre. But just to remind you, some of the things that she did when she was in the Home Secretary of Britain. This, I think I can share with you my screen, just like a snippet of what she was advocating for. She was also the one that called the Rwanda deportation her dream. Like, this is her dream ideal thing that could happen. But let me just show you one thing that I've covered a few years back. This is her.
Last year, over 45,000 people made the unsafe, unnecessary, and illegal journey across the Channel. Our asylum system has been overwhelmed. We're now spending almost £7 million a day on hotels. Stopping the boats is one of the 5 promises the Prime Minister has made to the British people, and it's my top priority. That's why today I'm announcing a new illegal migration bill to do exactly that. The Prime Minister and I have been working flat out for months to bring this legislation to Parliament. This bill will mean that if you come here illegally, you will not be able to stay. You will be detained and removed to your home country if safe, or a safe third country like Rwanda. We are committed to helping those in need, like the hundreds of thousands of people we have supported from Ukraine, Afghanistan, and Hong Kong in recent years. But it's not fair that people who travel through a string of safe countries and then come to the UK illegally can jump the queue and game our system. This bill will bring an end to that. Enough is enough. We must stop the boats.
The reason why I think it's double standard. Yeah, so that was me before talking about it, but it's just so ironic to me, and I talk about in that video about the double standards. When it comes to these same folks will be happy to host, will be glad, more than glad to host, their, let's say, Ukrainian migrants, right? They don't even want to call them immigrants. They want to call them, they need our help now. Refugee. Ooh, that's the word they never want to use. That's for some other people, So she's so adamant, and she was so pushy about this stop the boats movement. And I can't watch this with a straight face, because I'm like, girl, you are the epitome of like whatever you're working against, whatever you're standing up to or you hate. You are that person. Those folks that you're trying to make happy, they're talking about you. I know you're in their circle, and you believe that you are this special person, and it doesn't apply to you. They're gonna do or say the same thing. Same with Kemi and what they have said about her. We've talked about this before. But she likes to mention that Britain actually helped these ex-colonies of Britain, and she likes to talk about the infrastructure Britain built there, or how much investment Britain put in from her own country. Okay, she's now a Brit, right? Brit. Her parents, okay, Indian. UK, like a study shows that the UK has funneled out or drained about $45 trillion from India between 1965 to 1938. $45 trillion. Okay. And she likes to talk about infrastructure. The infrastructure was set up to take out wealth to extract the wealth, to extract human labor, free human labor, slaves. So you're telling us Britain went to India, to Kenya, to, you name it, Nigeria, and they built a system that will help them take out resources, take out human beings, ship it to their country to build their empire. Now we owe them reparations. Even you be serious with life, as Kenyans would say. Be serious with life. What's wrong with you? I know you're trying to please your masters, but you sound ridiculous. This sounds ridiculous. So the perpetrator stole, looted resources and human beings and the future of those folks that they have enslaved. Now you are demanding for reparations. In fact, Britain admitted just recently that when slavery was abolished in 1833, the government has paid $20 million to the enslavers, to the oppressors, because they believed, "Ooh, we took a resource from them. We took something important, which is labor, which is human beings that they were using and abusing for free. They took them when it became free," right? Like when they abolished slavery and there's no more free labor, the government said, "Oh, that sucks. Like, I know we just lost these people that we were using and abusing. So since we made them free and the masters lost these free human beings that they were using to get money off of, and on top of that, we all know how it was back then, and the mistreatment. We're not even talking about the lynching, the unaliving, the treating like you're not a human being, the raping. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about labor, right? Just because they lost the labor, the free labor, they were paid, they were compensated, meaning they were given reparations for losing the slaves that they were using. But now, when the enslaved are saying we deserve reparations for everything that our ancestors went through, that's where they draw the line. That's when they're like, no, actually, we need you to pay us because we built infrastructure that will help facilitate, take your people here and abuse them and exploit your resources. But also, that was an investment we put in the economy, which is a lie. When Britain left, most of these countries went into debt, went into the most horrible time economically. And also, let's get this clear. There was the extraction, this you can't make this stuff up. The infrastructure was financed heavily by taxes levied on the colonized people. So basically, it's the colonized that were footing the bill to make these facilities that will make it easier for the colonizer to loot from them and to take their stuff, their people, everything. I mean, we don't need to keep saying, like, we know that's the case. It's documented. It's part of history. I know there's a huge push to rewrite history, to change things, to change the narrative, which for some, it's kind of working. You'll be surprised, I know, but if you're on this channel, there's no reason for you not to know. Like, I mean, you know. But some folks genuinely believe that they're owed reparation because Britain invested in these colonies. And it's about time that they're paid for reparations. You can't make this stuff up. I know it sounds so ridiculous to us, but there are folks that are believing it. For her to come out publicly and say Britain is owed reparations from ex-colonies because of investment, the devil is a liar, as they say. 45 from her own people. They looted. They have extracted 45. We're not even talking about Africa. We're talking about her own folks. They have looted $45 trillion. And we're here talking about compensating Britain. It's laughable, obviously. But as I said, they know what they're doing, these politicians. And They have an agenda to serve. They have people that they want to please, and they'll continue doing it until it's successful. Will it be successful? I guess it depends on us, the people. Will we accept this narrative? Will we allow them to rewrite history, to change things up, to um, make a mockery out of us? And those that went, now imagine how direct descendants of the people that she's demanding reparations from, how are they feeling? Like, you're making this feels so, to use the word of this season, unhinged. Like, crazy, crazy, crazy woman. But she did say that, believe it or not. And there are people that are supporting it, obviously, and we all know why. And there's also rumors that these European countries, well, I don't know if you call it a rumor, if we're seeing the signs, they're going broke. France leading the brokenness, like, front and center. That's why they're doing the most. They're trying to be friends with many African countries. They're trying to tell us they're our friends. They're trying to change the narrative. They're doing the most, but hopefully it won't work. Some people are sellouts. We all know that. I mean, this is a great example of, like, why are you doing this? Like, shame. I mean, but okay, I'll give her this though. Let me say this. I'll say this, okay? Our girl here is, whatever you say, like the controversies that they have been talking about, they have been saying, it's about migrants. It's about, like, she will say things generally. We don't want these folks to come this way. We don't want these folks. She doesn't name names, is what I'm trying to say. For example, remember when we're talking about Kemi, I was saying, listen, 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 listen. At the very least, these migrant children that are politicians in the UK right now, even if they seem to unironically choose to identify with, let's say, white people there, and they want to push this agenda, and they're saying they're conservatives and they don't care about the ones that are trying to come, they want to stop it, all that, they do not call out their people by name and disparage the nations their families come from. They don't insult them. They don't do that, right? But Kemi, Kemi, tend to do that quite a bit, and she really hates on. That's the only way I can put it. She really hates on her people. It's sad though. That's why I started by saying, as much as she's controversial, this UK politician or former home secretary, she, at least I haven't heard her drag Indians through the mud. I've only heard her say a few things about, reparations, or a lot of Indians are coming this way. Just the narrative of, I want to close the gate or the door immediately after I get inside it, kind of mentality. So, well, yeah, that's what they're doing. It's impressive how they really don't care. Sometimes I sit down and wonder, how do they feel? How do they really, really feel about when they're, like, getting together, they're doing a barbecue, her family, these folks family members, when they're together celebrating, in her case maybe Diwali, one of their Indian celebrations, their gatherings, and she just said what she said about immigrants, or the same people that are related to her, and she comes through the door. Like, how do they feel? Are they honest with her? Is there tough conversations that are being had behind the scenes, or I don't know. I sometimes think about that, but yeah, that's what are your thoughts about this? She says Britain needs reparations, need to be paid for, colonization from Britain's ex-colonies. So let us know what your thoughts are. Hi, Susan. How are you? Hi, Renz. Mr. Smart said, let her start with India. What I've noticed is these folks, at least the ones that are not maybe like Kemi, is that they really focus on just, let's say, generalizing. They don't really call out their own that much. Yeah, they're just like immigrants, migrants. That's how they label it instead of just calling out their own group. That kind of also shows you there's a little bit of like underneath there's like solidarity, or at least they don't want to call out or expose their own communities to a certain degree. That is, McQueen said she has been brainwashed. Yeah. Safia said coconut. Crazy. She needs colonization. Hi, Kenneth. Hi, DB. Good morning. McQueen said she sounds like the one over here in the US saying that when the Democrats get back into office, the immigrants that were affected by ICE should get reparation. It's not happening. Who said that? Seriously? I did not know that, by the way. That sounds crazy to me as an outsider. Okay. As an outsider, I don't get that. Why explain to me, McQueen? I need you to explain to me what the argument is, what argument they're making that makes sense. Explain to me the way they're saying it. Why in the world would the migrants or people that are coming from different countries be entitled for reparations? Is it case by case? Like, for example, I've seen a few videos coming out of, let's say, maybe Minnesota, right? And they were filming how ICE agents were actually being physical. And is it because it was illegal? Those folks that were mistreated in that way, they have a case against the state or the government? Is that the argument? If that's the argument, maybe I can understand it. But like in general, migrants should or deserve reparations does not make sense to me at all. But explain to me, please. McQueen said, ever since FBA started talking about reparations, now everybody else started. No, I think, McQueen, reparations has been a conversation for a while, but I think it's a different kind of ask. Obviously, FBA being Black American, right? That's a reparation that is different, in my opinion, at least when the Ghanaian, I think you're talking about like reparations when it comes to, or maybe you're talking about this lady, but the one that was uh, like passed, the one that only 3 countries said no to. Okay, that was not reparations, to be fair, but it's a lead up to a reparation question. You remember when the last UN meeting happened, there was a vote that was passed, that went through, and it was about admitting or accepting that slavery or the slave trade was in fact a crime against humanity. It was passed. Almost every country said yes to this, except for 3 countries, which I'm sure you remember was America, Israel, and Argentina. So now that that is passed, of course, Ghana and other countries and African Union are having a conversation of reparations. Their sets of reparations, from my understanding, but correct me if I'm wrong, is for the extraction of wealth, for like the conversation of colonization. The FBA conversation of reparations is its own, right? Like no one is entitled, like an African, let's say that is second, third generation in America, should not be entitled for reparations, right? Obviously, because that's not the conversation. FBA's reparation conversation is a different one, not the same as what others are bringing up. But if I'm mistaken, just correct me. Britain owes FBA heavy. McQueen, I agree with you. And it should have come way before now. And I see how they have such a huge issue with giving out reparations when they give out to other communities. It's like when it comes to Black folks, it's such a hard thing to do. It happened a long time ago. Accept it. How do we even? They'll give you all the reasons in the book, which does not make sense at all. Like if you paid up other communities and you thought you did something wrong, then what's different from this conversation that we're having? They're just trying to be, cheap, and they don't want to pay. But I mean, I think it's about there needs to be pressure that should be put. Lois said, what a difference makeup makes. I know, right? Makeup, when you wear makeup, you look old, and when you don't wear it, you look very young. Thank you for the compliment, Lois. I think you're talking about me. I'll take that as a compliment. Hami said, they're returned to the factory owner. You said in those days it was bad times for poor black and white people. What are you talking about, Hamish? Wait, I don't know if I misunderstood you. Leonie said, the politicians of the world try to jump on wagons. Reparations are necessary, but bigotry tries to rewrite history, assuming WTP of have no memory. Okay, is used by all magas. Hypocrisy is contagious. Yeah. McQueen said Britain owes, they better get to paying. I agree with you. That's why they're trying to use, I think, this, they always try to use the people that don't look like them, right? If it's an Indian, like this lady, ethnicity Indian, if it's a black people like Kemi, they'll use those folks to put in front of them and say what they want to say through them. So they're not called racist. So they're called, so they can come and tell you it's your own person that's saying this. It's your own sister. It's your own auntie. So they use these folks to one distract, but two to use them as like a face. Though we all know who's or what is behind that. Hamish said she's totally irrelevant in the UK. She has to say more and more outrageous stuff to stay relevant with the UK MAGA quote a movement. I hear you, but she can't be that irrelevant if she was once your home, or if you're from the UK, home secretary of the UK. She's a former minister. I mean, she's up there in the power, was at least. So maybe now you mean because she's trying to still stay relevant, or she's trying to go back or get back to the scene. Maybe that makes sense. Yeah, they always know what to say, these politicians, to get in the good grace of I'll just put this here, that's her husband. So oh, Lainey said coconut. I use the phrase too. Yeah, Charm said self-hate, so she wants to belong to the so-called dominant folks. Similar tactics are set president and helping the unconstitutionality detained leads to reparations for all. McQueen said her name is Paula. J. Paul? Well, maybe she changed. Who are we talking about? Queen Bee said no, all African. And what does that say? I don't know. Countries said yes, but approximately 126 didn't say no or yes. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Yes, thanks for that reminder. Some people, like some countries like the UK, right, Britain, and other countries stayed silent. Yes, you're right. Thank you for this reminder. Most countries wanted to stay neutral. By the way, even if they didn't say no, that also speaks volumes, right? It's when you're abstaining from giving a vote, you're also saying something. Silence also is an answer, right? Though it's not a downright I am not going to accept this, like America, Israel, and Argentina, but definitely it is sending an answer. It might not be as direct, it might not be as let's call it what it is, brutal, but it's definitely an answer. And yeah, thank you for this reminder, by the way, Queen Bee. All Caribbean countries. So yeah. Yeah, I can't wait to hear your thoughts about this. Do you think Britain is owed reparations from its ex-colonies? Do we need to start preparing to pay them because they invested in those countries, which is ridiculous? I just explained to you why that's ridiculous, right? Some of the things are like the infrastructure was mostly for draining their resources. The second thing is the atrocities that they have committed. The third thing is they were taking out those systems were created not to benefit those countries that they've colonized. It is quite literally to steal from them, right? If we start talking about diamonds that they have taken, right? Resources like copper, like gold, like the crown, even now the crown their royal families wear, it's a known fact that has been taken to from Africa, from India. Their museums, for God's sake, they're filled with stuff, artifacts that were taken forcefully from these nations. And I mean, and that's not even getting into the human trafficking. It's not even getting into the atrocities that they've committed in those countries. And it's just ridiculous. I know it's ridiculous to even have a conversation about this, but it was said, right? So Hamish said, America was a colony of the UK. So can we have $5 trillion, please? Thanks. I think you should demand even more. Why just 5 trillion, Hamish? Hamish, why just 5 trillion? You're lowballing yourself. We need more. I mean, I just told you from her own people. It's $45 trillion. That's a lot of money. Now imagine from all African countries, Caribbean, America, the Americas, right? So Leonie said lots of love, but colonizers, unalive, oppress, they do not turn around and get paid for it. No reparations for Britain. Sorry. Yep. in this with that comment, because yeah, it's ridiculous. Obviously it is ridiculous, and she is trying to appeal to a certain groups of people and get attention, and yeah, it's just ridiculous. Anyways, fam, thank you for watching. I will see you tomorrow, same time. Stay blessed. Bye.